Hi everyone, welcome to this payment certificate free. We're going to look at question free and payment certificate free following on payment certificate 2. So the question asks, in month 3 you record the following progress on site. Your P's and G's went up to 15%. Your electricity, this is a new item that we've added now, is 10% progress on site. And then we're going to have item 19, 20, 21 and 22 of our bill 1, our earthworks. And then on our concrete and formwork, we're going to look at item 15, which progressed up to 50%. So we're going to look at these couple of items in the next recording. So yeah, let's get on with it. Okay, so we've again take our previous payment certificate and we're going to set that up for this payment certificate. So we change our payment certificate number, we're going to change our valuation date. It's exactly a month later, so it's just going to change to September. And then we're going to change our little name here. Although you won't be too concerned about this in the exam, all of this will be preset and you just have to complete the templates that will be provided to you. Okay, so we've set up this payment certificate. Let's just see our gross valuation for this payment certificate was 259,000. So I'm just going to copy this just as a check to see if we've got the same amount that's going to be brought forward from our summary sheet. Okay, so far everything is fine. So our summary sheet, remember what we have to do here. Okay, we just have to change everything on this payment certificate as well. So we're changing it to payment certificate free and we're going to change it to September. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our payment summary adds up to 0. So remember what we do is we take our gross valuation from the 1 month and we put it in the column for less previous amount. So we're just going to add the values without any formula. So that's what I just pressed here. That's just a note. You won't use this in the exam as well. Okay, so we can see that our payment certificate before that was 428,000. That's the gross without the previous one being subtracted. Okay, and then that was just added to that. So we're set up for this next payment certificate. Okay, so let's get into our items that we've seen in our question. So in our question, we're going to look at we're going to start again with our actual bill items given the percentage, and what I've done is I've taken those percentages and I've just added it here in this column as payment certificate free, so you can see where that is. So that's just added. Okay, so remember again what we need to do first is set up our payment certificate so it amounts to 0 for this payment certificate. So I'm just going, okay, I think this zoom is more or less right, so everyone can see. So our cumulative amounts and our payment certificates for these items were 0 in the previous one. So currently that's set up correctly. Let's just see. Okay, so here we need to change our cumulative amount to our previous payment certificate should be the same. So we're just going to put them in there so that our payment certificates for this month in a bill number 1 is actually 0. So it should add up if we scroll down. I think it was the only 2. Yes, so our previous amount and our current amount is the same. So now let's just do the same for our concrete work. So we're going to copy these items over here also only the amounts and not the formula. And let's see if everything is fine here. Okay, so here's our big items that we had. Just add them here. Okay, so everything is fine. So our previous amount and our cumulative amount to this payment certificate is equal to each other. So this payment certificate is thus 0. So we're set up for this payment certificate. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to update our progress on site. So we scroll down to the items. So I've marked the items. So we're just looking for our first item, which is item 19. Here we go. So item 19. So our percentage complete will now change to 80. So we're going to put in 80 there. Same with item 20, 21, and 22. Okay, so those two change. I think if we just put this in on here again, let's just check. We went up to item 21. So let's just put that away again. Yes, so it's items 19 up to 21. So it's these 4 items that we've changed. Okay, so we can see for our bill 1 on this payment certificate, we're going to pay about, well, we're going to pay 14,226 Rand before deductions and everything and that. Okay, and then we go to our one item that we have in bill 2, which is item 15, which changed from 0 to 50%. So we just scroll down to item 15, and we can just add that one here, and we can see we had 0 previous payments on this one, and we had 3,750 paid out. So that is added together here at the bottom, and then remember our cumulative amount is then taken to our payment summary. So the most important one to remember from these columns are our cumulative payment certificate amounts. So if you do make mistakes with these sections, or like your previous and this current payment certificate, please remember that as long as your cumulative amount is actually correct, it will be correct if you take that amount over to your summary sheet. Okay, so let's go to our summary sheet. That should be taken over to our payment certificate here. Okay, let's just quickly see if these amounts are the same. So it's 250. Let's start with the formwork and concrete. It's 146, 522. So let's switch over. Yep, 25, sorry, and that's correct. Let's just go up to this one. We can actually do a check like this. Okay, the amount is 0, so that is correct. So that amount is taken correctly to this summary sheet. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to update our preliminaries and our electrical work. So let's just have a look. The reason why we don't do the bill for the electrical work, because this is usually done by the electrical engineer. So although we do measure electrical work in our bills of quantities, it's not necessarily done always. So this is just an exercise so that you know how that the electricity is usually measured by electrical engineer and so on. So I think that's too much detail for your purposes at this stage. So that's why we're just looking at the summary sheet for now. Okay, so let's I see I haven't worked it in here. So it is 10% for our electrical work. So of our total amount, we've got 10%. Okay, so it's 99,000 in there, and our payment certificate will now change to 15%, so it goes up to 132,000. Okay, so our total amount of work done after payment certificate free is 637,000 rands worth of work. Okay, and then again, material on site, material off site is not applicable, and then we've got our current valuation calculated from that. Our retention of 10% is then deducted from that to get to our current valuation, and then we've got our contract price adjustments, which is also not applicable to you, and then we've got our gross valuation, just the amount carried over here. Okay, and then we've got our payment certificate that's subtracted from this, and we get our net value for this valuation calculated for this specific item. Okay, and then the same with our item 2 or bill 1 and bill 2, and then yes, our electrical work also pulled through correctly, so the formulas at least work in the spreadsheet. Okay, so then it's a simple calculation of just adding everything up together, and then adding VAT here, and then comparing these two amounts just together as a double check. Okay, so our next payment certificate should amount to 167,000 rand. So let's see if everything goes through correctly. So the amount of 637,000 should be taken over to our payment certificate free. So our opening balance is 373,000. That looks correct. So let's just do a double check. Okay, so that amounts to the right amount. Okay, again, and then we just go through the motions again of populating our payment certificate. Okay, so we didn't have any material on site, we didn't have material off site, so our calculation is 337,000. We subtract our retention amount from that to get to 573,000. We didn't have any authorized variations nor contract price adjustments, so our gross amount is 573,000. Okay, so we can see this amount actually pulled through correctly. You can just do that check again. Okay, so that is a zero difference there. So we just subtract our current valuation or gross amount certified minus our previous amount to get to our net amount certified, and then we've got our items again. So our expenses and loss to the employer can be added here, penalties can be subtracted, and then damages due to the contractor can also be added here again. Okay, so then we get to our subtotal, then we just simply add VAT to that, which is 15%, and we add the two together to get to our amount due on this payment certificate, and that's 616.02 and our check works out. So this amount and the one on our summary sheet actually works out the same. Okay, so wonderful. I'm always very glad when that happens. So then you just do the calculation for your percentages. So you take your gross valuation divided by your contract amount. Remember, this is all excluding that. You can do the calculation also on the VAT amount, that's after it's been added, although we don't like to do that because the main reason for that is oh sorry, that's the wrong one. That doesn't make sense. We can't do that because it is your cumulative amount that you're calculating here. That's why we take the gross amount divided by our total amount. What you can do, and what I've seen people do before, is they add the previous payment certificates on this side, add them together, and then that is added or divided by your total amount, which contract amount, which includes VAT, to get to that percentage. I don't like to do that, because if you have any other like penalties or anything like that that's added, then it can cause quite a lot of differences in your calculations. So then you calculate your percentage, remember to tick the right box, and if you want to, you can sign your payment certificate. And that's more or less how payment certificate 3 looks. Thanks everyone. So what I'll try and see is whether we can maybe have a session, a face-to-face session, just before you actually write your exam, just to go through this payment certificates, and also to have a look at if there's any questions. So, but in the meantime, if there's any questions, hopefully all of you will have a bit of a more relaxed time now just before the exam, that you don't have too many submissions. You can chat with me or ask questions also, and yeah, keep well.